It's 6 o'clock. Are we ready to begin? I'm going to call this meeting to order. Jackie, can
Mayor Holston,
Here.
Councillor Whitney,
Here.
Brenna Chrisman,
Here.
Councillor Coker,
Here.
Priscilla Davidson,
Here.
Councillor Splitoff,
Here.
April Allen,
Here.
Kevin Gobelman, Jan Christensen,
Here.
Councillor Kenyon,
here?
Councillor Bjornson,
Here.
Jan Hooker, Councillor Hollett, that's all.
She was here and she must have got kicked out.
Thank you. Okay, can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Okay, do we have any conflicts of interest?
Counselor Bjornson here. I want to declare a potential conflict of interest because I'm on the volunteer roster at the fire department.
Thank you.
April Allen here. I want to declare a potential conflict of interest. I volunteer at Oakridge Fire Department and I caretake for the city of Oakridge.
Thank you.
Priscilla Davidson, I need to declare a potential conflict. My husband works for Oakridge PD.
Thank you.
Brenna Chrisman, declare a potential conflict. My husband works for the city of Oakridge.
Thank you. Do we have any more potential conflicts? Or any conflicts, I'm sorry. Okay, hearing none, I will ask if anyone has a motion for approving the minutes.
Can I suggest that we table that? I haven't had a chance to fully go over the ones that Brian sent yesterday.
I haven't actually had a chance to review them thoroughly either. Is everyone okay with tabling that?
Chair, my only
Yes,
concern is that I would prefer not to have just call a special budget meeting to just confirm the minutes. And if it could be rolled over to the next time it meets in whenever that is, that'd be fine. But just something to consider.
that is true, but I just actually opened the packet a little bit earlier today, and I did notice a couple of things I want corrections on. And so I know I'm going to request a couple of corrections at least, and I just need to finish reviewing
I
them.
understand.
Is it possible to approve the minutes in council, or does it need to be a budget
It
committee?
should be a budget committee. But it's possible for everyone who has suggestions or corrections to submit them, and the CA can determine. I mean, some of them may be obvious corrections, you know how that happens. And if
Yeah.
they are just obvious corrections, they could be done, and we could probably do it if by sending it out and then having everyone email back and say yay or nay. I could look into whether or not that's, I think I've seen that done before, but I'm not positive on.
If that's possible, then we could probably do the same thing for approving them.
I think so, but I can check. I think it would probably have to be unanimous.
I personally think we should look into that. Did someone already make a motion or no? Okay. So with no motion, then I guess we would move into the public hearing.
I do have one addition to the agenda, if you don't mind, Chair.
Yes, what's that?
I would ask that we add 4.5, which is simply a motion to approve the election to receive state revenues as a recommendation to the city council. And I have an agenda bill with a motion on it.
Okay, that wasn't in the packet.
No, it was not.
Receive state revenues. Is that something you'll be able to put up on the screen
Yes.
when we get to it?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. Because I won't remember that. Okay. So should we be having public comment prior to this? Or during the, I guess it would be during the hearing, huh? Okay. So I'll open the public hearing for declaring the city's election to receive state revenues. First, I'm going to call for statements in favor. Do we have any statements in favor? And Brian, I don't know if I'm a host. I can't see hands yet.
You are now, but I don't
If
see any.
anyone, okay. I'll ask again for statements in favor. And a third time for statements in favor. Do we have any statements in opposition? Statements in opposition. And I'm assuming, Brian, that you would tell me if there was a hand.
I will, yes.
Okay, so for the third time, I'll ask, are there any statements in opposition? Statements in general. Do we have any statements in general? Oh, Trudy Hammond.
So can I kind of get a little clarity for the to receive state revenues? What exactly that entails?
Yes, so the city receives every year state revenue. They call it state revenue sharing. And what that is when people buy cigarettes or alcohol, they pay tax on that, and that gets distributed back to the city. And I think there's a couple other things included in that, but I'm not clear on exactly all the things that are in there. But then in order to receive that money, the city has to do a public hearing so that the people are allowed to say their opinions on how that money is going to be used in the city budget. So if you have any issues with the city, but oh, here it is, liquor taxes, marijuana, cigarette taxes, and other.
Is other
that-
where the public safety fee would be, or does that have anything to do with this?
None of this has anything to do with a public safety fee, but this is a hearing to say whether or not you support the way the city's going to be spending the money.
Well, I
Now,
just,
budget.
I had written up a suggestion for, one way that it could be, implementing a project for revenue.
Okay,
And I'd like to see Osprey Park property that had been mentioned in the last meeting again be considered for source of city revenue, and to be specific with development for senior housing, including a community center. The city can retain ownership of the property like the railroad has with their properties. And a senior housing community has revenue consistency, has longevity and sustainability, and the city will own the land and then just lease that land out. And then in those contracts for lease, there could also be improvement clauses. That was just a suggestion I was hoping to put out there. Thank you.
thank you. Was that everything you had?
Yes.
Are there any other statements in general? I mean, yeah, that's where we're at, statements in general. Okay, hearing none, I actually have a statement that I want to read. We know that the budget shortfall is an issue with all of the general fund programs and services. In other words, there's not enough revenues from taxes, contracts, state revenue sharing, etc., to cover our expenditures in the general fund. Knowing this was coming, last year, the police and fire departments made cuts, including reducing the amount of time per day that we have police on duty and losing the ability to replace our fire chief. It was proposed then to make cuts in other programs in the general fund, such as administration and the WAC. But instead, it was decided that we ask the voters for a levy to increase our tax revenue. We all know that the levy did not pass. 1,621 citizens voted and it failed roughly 2-to-1 against it. I personally feel that there was not enough information out there for the voters to understand the scope of the position that we are in financially. For us to circumvent that vote by imposing a fee is not right, in my opinion. We should bring this back to the ballot again, and this time do a better job educating everyone where we are at financially and explaining what it would really look like if we do not increase our revenue. We need to be honest though, our city's financial crisis does not fall solely on the emergency services department like it has been sold in recent years. Fire and ambulance shortfalls have been minimal in comparison to the total shortfall currently in the general fund. Thankfully, we will be receiving the CARES Act grant from the federal government because of COVID-19. Without that revenue budgeted, we would be over $900,000 short instead of the approximate 540 or ish. I imagine what the imposed, or imagine then what the imposed fee would look like. The good thing is that after we pay back our loans from water and wastewater this coming year, we won't be so short in the general fund in the following years. In the meantime, I propose we look harder at ways to reduce spending in the non-public safety arena. As we saw Sunday and today, we need every officer and EMT, firefighter, paramedic that we have. And that concludes my statement. So I'll ask one last time, do we have any other statements in general?
You have a hand from Mrs. Christensen.
Thank you. Go ahead, Jan.
Thank you. I just wanted to go back to the breakdown of the taxes, the alcohol and the tobacco, etc. And my thinking is, why don't we take the alcohol and the marijuana tax and put that in the emergency services fund? Because maybe drinking and driving and marijuana and driving, you know, I'm just saying.
Actually, Jan, those two and actually all of these revenues that are mentioned here do go into the general fund, which supports emergency services and police, police, administration, the WAC, library, parks, administration, if I didn't say that already. There's about 7 different things it supports.
Okay, then I'm gonna probably put a target on my back or something and just add that the 58 Herald had an article and it raised a lot of eyebrows, I think. And there's some very well-paid people in this community that are costing this community a lot. And I can't support a $31 or even a $25 fee for emergency services fund if nobody's willing to take some kind of cut. And I root for the underdog. I mean, I lived here 40 years ago and I tried to tell this community council that they needed to get it together to keep this community, you know, thriving, because the mills were going to close, and they didn't listen then, and nobody's listening now, it seems like. But you can't spend more than you bring in. And I just feel like there's got to be serious looks at who's got the big paycheck, and pay freezes isn't going to do it. Pay cuts have to come first. I've lost half of my income from moving to this little community, and I can't afford to just cough money up for somebody who earns in excess of $200,000. I'm sorry, I can't get behind this at all. Thank you.
You're welcome. Are there any more statements? Oh, I see several hands up. I'm not sure who's first, so I'm just going to start at the top. It'll be Councilor Sweetoff.
Okay, with these funds, do they all have to, can we put them all into the emergency services rather than admin and the WAC and everything? Or are they,
I
do
can
they
probably,
have to?
I can probably help a little bit there. They enter into the general fund because they do have a revenue source. But we do transfer $560,000 a year to the emergency services fund. So in effect, those monies are going that way, whether you call it shared revenue money or any other type of franchise, whatever type of revenue we get, we're sending stuff over to the emergency services fund to keep it balanced. And so it's however you want to clarify it that way.
Thank you.
Yes, and I would add, Audie, that all of the other things that are mentioned, the police, WAC, admin, all of that are all in the general fund. So when this money comes into the general fund, it's added with all the other money in there and used to support those funds, those programs. Okay, is that everything?
Yes, thank you.
Mayor Holston.
You muted.
I know. Thank you, Chair. I think it needs to be noted that this public hearing is on receiving, whether we elect to receive these funds. If we don't elect to receive them, we don't get them. It's not actually a public hearing, although it's important to hear in the discussion what people are thinking. We're actually voting on saying, yes, we want these funds. We're not voting on where they should go, just as a general reference point. But I do appreciate hearing everybody's opinion.
Thank you. Trudy Hammond.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, I remembered my second question regarding the fee. How do the large Oakridge Mobile Home Park businesses, like Oakridge Mobile Home Parks, we have seven mobile home parks, and I'm wondering, is that going to be one amount per unit in those or is it one amount for the park in itself, being individual 7 parks?
I believe that that's going to be a discussion that the council will have in the very near future. And Brian or Kathy could add to that if there's anything else.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, are there any more statements in general? So then we go into the committee discussion. And I'm not exactly sure what that looks like. So is it just open floor for discussion?
Chair?
Yes.
So typically, it would be an opportunity for the committee to discuss any of the statements that they heard in favor, opposed, or in general, that came from outside of the committee. And then just to have a general discussion about what was said. So that's what it's for.
Okay. Is there anyone that would like to discuss what we've heard in the statements? Mayor Holston.
Thank you. I just wanted to acknowledge, Trudy's suggestion about how to use Osprey Park. And this, it's a very broad one. And I just want to thank her for that. And those are the kinds of ideas that we need to hear from everyone, and throw it into the, not yet. Then throw it into the pot so that we can look at all of those suggestions. So I encourage others to bring forth ideas, and that way council will have a larger pot to mull over, which I think is good. Time consuming, but good.
Thank you. I don't see any more hands at this time. I'll give everyone one last chance. If you'd like to participate in the discussion on this, please raise your hand or unmute yourself if necessary and let me know you're there. Okay, hearing none, we will go to agenda item 4.5.
Chair,
Brian, yes?
I believe you have to close the public hearing.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
The public hearing is now adjourned. And we'll move into regular session. Okay, Brian, you want to go with this one?
Right. This is item 4.5 added in. This is the Budget Committee motion to approve the city's election to receive state revenues. And we're looking for a motion from the floor to approve. No exhibits. So we have to approve and recommend to the city council to participate in this revenue sharing program. And it is a significant part of the city's budget. And the lack of those revenues would cause even more difficulty than we're having now. As you can see, DAS, Department of Administrative Services, is responsible for the certification. And it mandates that the city provide a resolution or ordinance stating, and that was adopted, stating that you approve in participation. And as part of this, you have to, as an incorporated city, have to provide certain services, critical services to the citizens. And that includes police, fire, water, wastewater, planning, and the like. So your choice here is to recommend to council to receive them or to not recommend. Staff is recommending option 1, and the motion is right there at the bottom if anyone wants to go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion.
Go ahead.
I move that we recommend to the city council that they adopt the resolution declaring the city's election to receive state revenues.
This is Counselor Coker. I will second.
Thank you, Counselor. Okay, do we have any discussion? I actually don't see anything. I did want to ask though, Brian, does this include an ordinance that we'll be passing, or do we already have one established?
No, it'll come to
'Cause
council.
it says up here.
It'll come to council on June 17th as part of the budget package. And it will be a resolution that council will vote on.
Okay. If there's no more discussion, I will ask Jackie to call for a vote.
Counselor Hollett,
Aye.
Priscilla Davidson,
Aye.
Counselor Coker,
Aye.
Kevin Gobelman, April Allen, Counselor Bjornson,
Aye.
Brenna Chrisman,
Aye.
Counselor Splitoff,
Aye.
Counselor Whitney,
Aye.
Mayor Holston,
Aye.
Jan Christensen,
Aye.
I got kicked off for a minute. It's April Allen.
okay, thank you. Counselor Kenyon,
Aye.
okay, that's all.
So do we call on April though for that? Because she wasn't on to vote earlier.
I did, and she gave me her vote.
Okay, I didn't hear that.
It was an aye.
Okay. So this is agenda item 4. Go ahead, Brian.
Right. This is the approval of the imposition of the fiscal year 22 property tax levy. The exhibit was the prior and fiscal year 22 levy. We're looking for a motion to approve the imposition of the fiscal year 22 property tax levy. And we are, hang on a sec. So your options here are to make a motion to approve the property tax levy or to not make a motion to approve the property tax levy. And the motion, as you see it, states what the assessment rate is, which is $7.1196 per $1,000 of assessed value of all properties within the city limits for operational purposes. So, and there's the exhibit that shows you it's unchanged from the previous year. So.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve the property tax levy.
Is it okay, Priscilla? Would you mind reading the recommended motion?
I move,
So we,
yeah, sorry. I move we approve the city of Oakridge fiscal year 22 property tax levy at the rate of 7.1996 per 1,000 of assessed value for operational purposes.
thank you. Do I hear a second?
second. This is Bobby.
Okay, thank you, Bobby. Is there any discussion? I see no, oh, I do have. Okay, Jan Christensen.
So did I hear that this is not increasing?
That is correct. This is the same amount that we've had for several years.
Right, so you're legally allowed to raise it with 3% or something? Why aren't you doing that?
That's the assessed value of the properties, and it does adjust as based on the county's assessed value. So that is capped at 3%. This rate here is just where we are, and we can't go beyond that rate. We can go less than that rate. We can't go beyond that rate.
I guess I thought you could raise it 3% a year, but I
You're
don't
you're
know
allowed to
all the
raise,
rules to that.
you're allowed to raise the assessed value of properties up to 3% a year, depending on what the actual real market value of the properties are. But the rate itself, the 7.1996, is fixed. You can go lower, but you can't go higher than that.
So can I interject here? Jan, I think what the confusion is, you know, while property tax assessed values can go, property value can go up, the assessment that we put on that per 1,000 can only be approved by the voters. That's not something that council can do. And we have a cap on property tax, so we can only go up to, Brian, is it $10?
$10
think
is
it's
the
our
max
cap.
at a ballot, right?
Yeah. Right, and that has to be approved by the voters, which is what we had on the ballot last year. That would have been a property tax increase. So that rate that you see here would have been a higher number, you know, $10 or $9.89.
Okay, so because the voters didn't approve it last year, and I was one of them that did, because I see the value of having emergency services, et cetera. We're gonna get it out of the people one way or the other with this fee.
Yeah, in essence. And, you know, and Dan Barkley just chimed in here, and the other piece is these are levied by the county. The city of Oakridge does not levy property taxes. We can increase them, but the county actually is the one who collects them. So yes, we said no to the levy. We are now in the process of adding a public service fee, or whatever we want to call it, possibly if it passes. There's no reason why what Chair Kenyon said, what you have said, what others have said, can't happen in a future election to put it back on the ballot with a better push or education to get it passed and then eliminate the fee. So that's all, that's a piece of the puzzle that could be, but we can't arbitrarily raise the tax rate without the election, without the voters saying yes.
Right, and I totally agree with Councillor Kenyon that the public wasn't really made aware of how serious this is. And I think it needs to happen that way. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. Councillor Sweetoff?
Yeah, my question was answered. Thank you. I'm sorry, I forgot to take my hand down.
Okay. Okay, is that everyone? Oh, Jan, do you have something else?
No, I'm trying to, there it went off. I
Okay.
clicked it 3 times and it didn't go off.
Okay, so is everyone good? Are we ready to move forward with the vote?
Yes.
All right, Jackie, can you call for the vote, please?
Councillor Sweetoff,
Aye.
Councillor Kenyon,
Aye.
Brenna Chrisman, Brenna Chrisman,
Aye.
Councillor Whitney,
Aye.
Jan Christensen,
Aye.
Mayor Holston,
Aye.
Priscilla Davidson,
Aye.
April Allen,
Aye.
Councillor Hollett, Councillor Bjornson,
Aye.
Councillor Coker.
Aye.
That's all.
Thank you, Jackie. Brian, without the agenda in front of me, I'm wondering if
Get
that
there.
was the end of the meeting, or is there more?
Well, I believe that's it.
Thank you. Okay, I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Chair, and thank
Good
you.
night.
Thank you. Good night. Have a good day.